What if your strength wasn't in holding on, but in letting go? What if everything you've been taught about control, about clinging tighter, was the very thing keeping you trapped? And what if I told you that the most dangerous man in the room is the one who no longer needs anything to win? You've been taught that control is power, that plans and perfection will protect you from life's chaos. But here's the hard truth. The more you grip, the more life slips through your fingers. You're not exhausted because life is difficult. You're drained because you're carrying weight that was never yours to begin with. Expectations, outcomes, people's approval all dragging behind you like chains. This is your wake-up call. Control is the cage, and detachment is your way out. When you no longer need specific results, when you release your obsession with outcomes, you gain something most people never will: psychological freedom. No anxiety, no desperate explanations, no emotional overreach. Just calm presence, silent power, steady awareness. That's what we build here. This is Stoic Room. We don't chase approval. We don't beg for peace. We don't overreact. We train in silence. We cut through the noise. We master one thing: our response. If you want real power, stop trying to control the uncontrollable. Start letting go. The fewer things that own your mind, the more untouchable you become. Say it now. I hold nothing. Nothing holds me. Let others run in circles, screaming for control you've already released. You sit still. You wait. You watch. You strike only when needed. This is the void. This is where it begins. Number 1. The illusion of control. Of all the lies you've been fed, none is more poisonous than the belief that you can control what happens outside of you. Every time you try to manipulate an outcome, persuade someone, or force a situation, you're quietly surrendering parts of your peace. Before you realize it, your emotional state is hijacked by everything outside your skin. The weather shifts and your mood tanks. Someone disrespects you and your whole day collapses. Your plan falls apart and you break down with it. That's not strength. That's emotional slavery. The Stoics knew this over 2 millennia ago. Epictetus said it best. There is only one way to happiness: stop worrying about things beyond your control. But this goes deeper than happiness. This is about power, domination, commanding your mind. You can't lead your life if your emotions are tied to things that move like the wind. Detachment isn't coldness, it's clarity. It's standing in the storm and refusing to be blown over by it. The moment you stop expecting life to dance to your rhythm, you begin to dance with ITAN. That's when true control starts. Because the only thing you were ever meant to control is your response. Everyone else? Emotional puppets. Their strings pulled by unread texts, rain in the forecast, and conversations gone wrong. But not you. You've cut those strings. You've stepped outside the illusion. Now you operate from stillness. You observe. You calculate. You wait. Type this out now. My control begins where illusion ends. That's the moment you take your power back, not through noise, but through stillness. Not by clinging, but by stepping away from everything you thought you needed. Let them chase. You'll choose. Number 2, the self is the only battlefield that matters. It's not your career, not your relationships, not your past, and not the chaos of the world. It's your mind. Your internal world is the only ground you truly own. Everything else? Rented, temporary, fragile. But here's the problem: most people spend their lives trying to control the external while completely ignoring the one domain they actually possess. They explode when others don't behave the way they expect. And when you forget that the only battlefield worth mastering is your mind, you leave yourself exposed, shaken every time life refuses to obey your plans. People spiral when things fall apart. They crumble when someone walks away. Why? Because they've spent their energy controlling the outside while leaving the inside undefended. If your peace depends on how others behave, you're not free. If your sense of stability rises and falls with your environment, you're not strong, you're breakable. A Stoic doesn't pray for perfection. He trains for reality. He turns inward, not to run from the world, but to reinforce himself against it, through discipline, through stillness, through precision. A man who has mastered himself cannot be shaken. A mind that craves nothing cannot be manipulated. Your thoughts? They're yours. Your reactions? Yours too. Even your silence becomes a weapon when you wield it with intention. That's the advantage. Most people are walking algorithms reactive, predictable, easy to provoke. But when you stop reacting and start governing your domain with ruthless clarity, you become unreadable. And that's power. Don't waste time trying to fix the world. Rule yourself with unrelenting focus. Say it with me. I am my only territory, everything else is just noise. Build your inner fortress, burn the rest. Number 3. Mental control the fortress within. Visualize your mind as a fortress, silent, cold, unbreakable. Now, ask yourself honestly, how many back doors have you left wide open? How many people still have keys? How many emotions come and go as they please? Most people don't guard their mind. They decorate it. They clutter it with opinions, approval-seeking, chaos, and then they act surprised when it all collapses under pressure. Let's be real. If you don't command your thoughts, someone else already is. Mental control doesn't mean you numb yourself or fake indifference. It means discipline, the power to decide which thoughts are allowed to stay and which ones must be destroyed. That's where true power begins, not in being hyper-aware or easily triggered, but in sovereignty. An undisciplined mind is a ticking bomb. It overthinks, it panics, it clings to the past and fears the future. But a disciplined mind waits. It watches, it calculates, it moves with intention. Not from emotion, but from position. When someone insults you, your fortress doesn't tremble. When the world throws chaos at you, your gates remain closed. You don't react. You respond with strength. This is the heart of psychological dominance. While the average person wears their emotions like a billboard, you keep yours hidden like an ace in your sleeve. Your calm confuses them. Your silence unsettles them. The less you show, the more control you gain. Don't be loud, be loaded. Every thought must pass inspection. Every reaction must be chosen, not triggered. Nothing enters your mind without your consent. That's the new standard. If a thought weakens you, delete it. If someone drains your energy, cut their access. If an emotion hijacks your control, shut it down. You don't owe transparency to a world that hasn't earned your truth. You owe yourself sovereignty. Say it now. My mind is a locked gate, nothing enters without my command. Don't just live behind the fortress. Become it. You are the wall. You are the gate. You are the only one in control. When you become the fortress, unshakable and sealed, the next evolution is learning when to stay still, because the moment you react, you surrender your power. Every time you flinch, lash out, argue, beg, explain, or chase, you hand your control to someone else. Reaction is not strength, it's submission. Most people walk around like emotional landmines, say the wrong thing, and they explode. Ignore them, and they implode. That isn't power. That's programming. Push the right button, and they'll dance exactly how you predicted: predictable, manipulatable, fragile. But the one who doesn't react, the one who watches, listens, analyzes, and speaks only with intention, that person becomes untouchable. You can't read them. You can't trigger them. You can't control them. And in this world, the one who commands their inner world ends up with the real power over everything else. So when someone disrespects you, you don't flinch. When plans fall apart, you don't panic. When someone provokes you, you give them nothing, just silence. That unreadable stillness isn't passive, it's tactical. Choosing not to react doesn't make you weak. It means you're in charge. You don't get dragged into their chaos. You scan the field like a strategist. You study their behavior, track their triggers, predict their next move, and when you finally act, it's precise, calculated, surgical. Most people act because discomfort drives them. You act because the timing is right. And in that difference, you reclaim control. Even when they think they're pulling your strings, you're the one setting the tempo. Reaction is a leash. Strategic detachment cuts the rope. You're no longer the puppet. You're the puppeteer. This doesn't mean you bury your emotions. It means you own them. You direct them. You sharpen them into weapons. And it all starts with mastering the pause, that sacred space between stimulus and response. That pause is your battlefield. That's where dominance is built. Say less. Show less. Feel everything. Reveal nothing. Say it with me. My pause is my power. Don't let them drag you into emotional firestorms. Let them question why their flames never reach your ice. That's not numbness, that's supremacy. That's the power of not reacting. That's what makes you untouchable. And now we enter the next layer, number 5. Strategic detachment and emotionless efficiency. Detachment isn't avoidance, it's not apathy, it's clarity. Cold, sharp, clean. You don't detach because you don't care. You detach because you do care, but you refuse to let that care be used against you. Emotion, when unmanaged, is the most expensive currency in existence. And the people who want to drain, you know this. They crave your attention, your reaction, your energy. They want you deeply invested in what you cannot influence, because while you fall apart, they stay in control. But once you learn to pull back, everything shifts. Detachment becomes your scalpel clean cuts. No bleeding, no begging, no dramatic explanations. You don't argue, you observe. You don't prove, you perform. You don't cling, you correct. And when something no longer serves your peace or meets your standard, you don't force it to stay. That's why detachment is your edge. It makes you dangerous in all the right ways. When something no longer serves you, you don't fight it. You remove it. That's not cruelty, it's clarity. Strategic detachment means you choose where your energy flows and where it doesn't. You're no longer pulled into emotional black holes. You don't orbit chaos, you orbit your mission. While most people exhaust themselves trying to fix what was broken from the start, you do the opposite. You take a step back, you zoom out, You let it collapse if it must, and you don't even flinch. Why? Because you've unlocked the truth they're still afraid to face. Letting go is power. You never form attachments to anything you can't walk away from. Not out of fear, but out of discipline. You stay connected without being dependent. You stay involved without being consumed. You stay aware without being emotionally hijacked. That's precision. That's what makes you fast when others freeze, sharp when others drown. Most people feel everything all the time. That's why they're so easy to manipulate. But you've trained yourself to feel without breaking, to detach without falling apart, to walk away without leaving pieces of yourself behind. Say it now. I walk light. I cut sharp. This is emotional minimalism, tactical indifference. You don't own what owns you. Detach not later, now. And now we move deeper. Number 6, dominance through absence. You've been taught that power is noise, that it lives in being loud, being seen, being everywhere. But real power moves like a ghost. It doesn't shout, it vanishes. You don't dominate by being constantly available. You dominate by being selectively present. In a world addicted to attention, the person who removes theirs becomes a mystery, and in that mystery, power grows. Understand this clearly. When you walk away, mentally, emotionally, or physically, you shatter their rhythm. People are used to reaction. They feed off your responses. But when you stop feeding the system, they're forced to face themselves. And most people, they're not ready for that. Silence is your new battlefield. It creates a void, and inside that void, fear starts to grow. They begin to question, why did he pull back? Did I cross a line? Is he done with me? Is he planning something? The truth doesn't even matter. The uncertainty is what rattles them. That's your weapon. You don't argue. You don't explain. You vanish on purpose. And in your absence, you become a mirror. What they see there often terrifies them. You're no longer explaining, no longer reacting, no longer defending your place. You've left the game entirely. Now, they're the only ones still playing. Here's the part they won't admit: when you stop showing up, they lose control. When you go silent, they lose direction. They relied on your presence to feel powerful. And when you take it away, they don't just lose access, they lose their edge. This isn't revenge, it's positioning. And make no mistake, positioning wins wars. Just look around. The ones who chase always lose leverage. The ones who overexpose get drained. But the one who withdraws, who stays unreadable, unbothered, unmoved, that person is not weak. That person is lethal. That's the kind of presence that terrifies when silence becomes strategy and absence becomes pressure. When you choose silence, you transform into the storm they never saw coming. That tension they feel, that creeping uncertainty, that psychological pressure wrapping tighter by the second, it's not accidental. It's engineered. Power doesn't always announce itself with noise. Sometimes it simply exits the room, and the silence it leaves behind is louder than any scream. Say it now. My silence rewrites the room. That's who you are now. Not just a person, but a presence of force that still disturbs. Even when you're not there, you're not gone. You've just elevated. You've moved to a higher altitude where the noise can't reach, where their games no longer touch you. You don't argue. You don't explain. You don't beg to be seen. You observe. you adapt, you calculate. And when it serves you, you disappear quietly, cleanly, permanently. That's not avoidance. That's dominance. You walk away not because you're cold, but because you're clear. True power doesn't need witnesses. Sometimes the most dangerous thing in the room is the shadow they can't stop imagining. Now, let's go deeper. Number 7, the unreadable mind. If they can read you, they can reach you. If they can reach you, they can control you. That's why your mind must be locked tight. No windows, no leaks, no tells. In a world addicted to oversharing, over-explaining, and overreacting, your silence becomes a rare and deadly weapon. If you want real respect, start with becoming unreadable. Your emotions, they're your fingerprints. Your reactions, a roadmap. Your vulnerability, it's the blueprint they'll use to tear you apart. So you strip it all away, and what's left? A ghost, a question mark, a mind they can't trace or decode. That's when you start winding before you even make a move. Most people betray themselves without realizing it. They reveal fear with awkward laughs, jealousy with sly comments, desperation with frantic messages. But you reveal nothing. Not because you don't feel, but because your feelings serve you, not the world. Your thoughts stay locked behind steel. Your motives, hidden in plain sight. You don't speak to soothe insecurity, you speak to shift the board. You don't smile for validation, you smile when it moves the mission forward. You speak when silence would cost you more than clarity. And you let them guess. Let them misread. Let them invent their own stories. You don't correct them. You don't defend yourself. You watch. You adjust. You turn their assumptions into ammunition. That's mental warfare at its finest. You don't strike. You let their own imagination destroy their certainty. And when the time to move comes, they never see it coming. Because they never understood you to begin with. Say it again. They won't read what I never wrote. If you want to be a mystery, stop narrating your every move. If you want psychological freedom, stop performing for people who never earned the right to know your mind. Power lives in silence, in seeing without being seen, in knowing without having to prove. You want to be untouchable? Then stop explaining. So if they can't read you, they can't reach you, and if they can't reach you, they can't shake you. That's the power of being unreadable. But there's a state beyond even that, a place where silence, detachment, and discipline are just the entry requirements. It's not common. Not because it's impossible, but because most people refuse to let go of the things that keep them soft. The craving for approval, the addiction to validation, the need for emotional comfort. You want to be untouchable? Then here's your truth. You can't be controlled by anything you've already killed inside yourself. That means cutting out the need to be understood, the impulse to justify, the desperation to be seen, loved, or explained. That's surgery, not cosmetic, but deep, raw, and permanent. What's left after that? Steel. Not the kind that bends under pressure, but the kind that creates pressure simply by existing. The untouchable state isn't about becoming cold. It's about being selectively indifferent to everything that doesn't feed your mind, align with your code, or serve your mission. You don't stop feeling pain, you just stop letting pain be your driver. You're not a machine. You're a refined weapon, sharpened by solitude, hardened by trial, honed by loss. And in this state, you don't flinch. When people leave, you don't collapse. When betrayal hits, you adjust your boundaries without a word. When they mock or underestimate you, you don't react, you become silent. So silent it reverberates. Why? Because reaction is leverage, and you never give leverage away for free. If they want your energy, make them earn it. If they want your focus, show them what it costs. Because in the untouchable state, people can't provoke you, they only expose themselves. That's the real shift. You move from being under the influence to being the influence, from reacting emotionally to commanding calmly. It's not that you've stopped feeling, it's that you've trained your emotions to stay within your walls. They can't read you, they can't bait you. And when you speak, your words strike with weight, because you've built your silence into power. The Stoics had a word for thysapathia, a mind that remains undisturbed. Today, some may call it emotional unavailability. I call it dangerous, because the person who needs nothing is the one who cannot be broken. You've become the calm inside the storm, the still axis in a world that spins, the ghost they can't hold but can't stop fearing. That's the final form. Say it now. My peace is not a negotiation. Believe it. Live it. Because in the untouchable state, you don't adjust to be liked, you adjust the entire frequency. You don't chase anyone, you lead in silence. Your emotions no longer control you. Your past no longer defines you. You are no longer in a battle with the world because you've already won the only war that ever mattered, the war within yourself. Everything before this was training. Now we go from knowing to becoming. You've already stepped into that untouchable, state unreadable, unreactive, and unshaken. But let's be clear. Knowledge without action is just dead weight. So, here's what comes next. Master yourself, not eventually, not when it's easy, but now. That means no more emotional leakage, no more chasing after people who disregard your value, no more clinging to control over things that were never yours to begin with. You pull back, you tighten the borders of your life. You guard your energy like it's a sacred kingdom, because it is. And from this moment on, nothing gets past your gates without your full permission. Look around you. Most people are trapped in a constant swirl of mental chaos. Their emotions are flammable, ready to ignite at the slightest trigger. Their sense of identity is fragile, easily broken by rejection or challenge. They panic when ignored, unravel when confronted. But you no longer move like that. From now on, your sense of self comes from within. You're not here to impress anyone, you're here to construct something unshakable. A mind so calm, so focused, so disciplined that the world bends to its presence. Mastery isn't about dominating others. It's about total sovereignty over yourself. So choose. Will you keep reacting like everyone else, or will you vanish, evolve, and reemerge untouchable? Say it one last time. I am untouchable because I choose myself. Say it with conviction. Etch it into your consciousness like a brand. Because this isn't just a phrase, it's your new standard. You don't seek peace anymore. You are peace. You don't beg for power. You move in power without noise, without flash, without apology. From now on, every decision you make must be born from discipline, not desire. Every silence must carry gravity. Every step back must be intentional. You're not here to be easily read or quickly liked. You're here to be unbreakable. And if you've stayed with me this far, know this: you're not like most people. Most clicked away the moment it got uncomfortable. But you stayed. You listened. You absorbed. And that means you're already becoming what they fear: calm, precise, and complete. Now seal it. Like this video, subscribe if you haven't yet, and explore the playlist Stoic Wisdom, Mastering Emotions and Inner Strength to keep sharpening your edge. Welcome to the Stoic Room, where silence speaks louder than noise and strength lives in stillness. From this point forward, let them wonder why nothing ever breaks you.